Jeremiah Achonwa. I'm a legal practitioner, husband to one wife, father to 3 children, 3 biological children, and I presume a lot more not biological children. And I also happen to be a minister in the Citizens Church for All Nations, headquartered in Abuja, Nigeria. I aspire to be the best version of me, because sometimes people ask me, when people ask me, what do you do? I tell them I'm a lawyer, but I do so many things, and I always aspire to be the best at whatever I do. And also, I aspire to be an astute solution provider in every sphere of influence that I find myself in. And also, I aspire to be a worshiper that God reckons with. The story I'm choosing to share is one about my daughter, one of my daughters, who had a health challenge. And why I chose to share it is because that experience really shook my faith in God. It shook my faith in God to the extent that, I got to the point that I asked myself if God really existed and if God answers prayers. So, how it happened, she was born, healthy child, and then at about the time when she was 3, going on 4 years old, she fell ill, took her to the hospital, and got checked and all that. She left the hospital, got back home, relapsed again. And this illness kept relapsing, and we were wondering what's happening. One test here, that test here, that test here. Eventually, she had to be placed on medication, and the doctors told us that she was going to either take that medication for 2 years straight, every single day, morning and night, or she could take that medication for the rest of her life. And I was taken aback. I said, that can't be my child that they're talking about. Anyway, she started medication, and I had to set an alarm every morning, every evening, because she had to take it at a particular time. And then, we prayed. Now, all through this process, my parents didn't know about what was going on. I kept it away from them. And I just decided to bear my cross, myself and my wife. And, we would pray every time it relapses. Take her to the hospital, and all the rigors of taking care of a child that is ill and all that. And I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. And sometimes it seemed as if the more I prayed, the worse it became. So I asked myself, is there a God that actually answers prayers? Is there God? Or is it that I have done something and God is punishing me for it? I asked myself several questions. It really shook my faith. And it got to a point where I couldn't pray. I couldn't read the Bible. I was just there, hovering through life and doing my best to make sure that my daughter was comfortable. And this takes me back to the question I was asked about what I aspire to be, and I said that I want to be a worshiper that God reckons with. Because during that time, it was worship that saw me through it. At those times when I could not pray, I could not read the Bible, and I was so distant from God, I was able to connect to some songs of worship that actually reassured me and reaffirmed the existence of God. So, after a year of taking medication, one day I sat with my wife, and my wife said, "You know what? We're going to stop this medication." And I said, okay, don't you think we should seek medical advice? Or she said, "You know what? Do you have the faith?" I said, "If you have the faith, I have the faith." And we said, "Okay, we're going to stop medication." And we stopped it. And, it was such a strenuous time for me, because every time she's in school, sometimes when they call me from her school, maybe they just want to ask me something about something else random, my heart to start beating. Like, has she relapsed again? It got to the point I had to warn her school never to call me again. I said, "Send me a message. Don't ever call me, except it's an emergency, so that I know that once you are calling me, it's an emergency." But after that 1 year, when we stopped the medication, she didn't have a relapse. She's going to 2 or 3 years after that time. And, maybe it's just when we want to treat her for malaria, or she's been healthy, she's been strong. She's bigger than her elder sister now. So I've seen the hand of God. I've seen God pull through for you, pull through for us. And it makes me able to tell people, it makes me able to share with other people, and makes me able to say to them that, "You know what, I know you're going through, but you are going to go through it. You're going to come out at the end. You won't get stuck in it, because I've gone through it." So that for me is the story I would love to share. I can't go into many details because it'll probably take a year to, explain all the experiences that we had during that period. But that was it for me. And I thank God for how He came through for us. Okay, Bible verses that have inspired me. The first one is 2 Timothy 2 verse 2. And it says that the things that you have heard about me amongst many witnesses, the same communicate to faithful men who will be able to impute it into other people. Now for me, that verse I've always loved that verse, because it's all about legacy. It's all about the impact you're able to make. That was Paul talking to Timothy, and he was bold enough to say that the things that you have heard of me, the things that you have seen me do amongst many witnesses, the same communicate to faithful men. 2 keywords there: witnesses and faithful men. The reason why we profess the Christian faith today is because faithful men were able to pass it down through generations. The reason why you would have a legacy when you are long gone is because you are able to pass on something to faithful men and women who will be able to pass it on to generations to come. So for me, that verse has always been like a watchword for me. Number one, there are a lot of witnesses who your life is impacting. Not necessarily by what you say, but by what you do. Those witnesses are always there watching you. What are you passing to them? Number two, do you have faithful people around you that you can pass on a legacy to? For me, that's the watchword. Second verse is 1 Thessalonians 5:22, that says that you should abstain from all appearance of evil. Now, why I love that verse is because, so for instance, I was talking with a friend of mine who's much more like a brother to me a couple of weeks back. And he was saying to me, he said, "Bro Jerry, but I didn't do this thing, and they're accusing me of doing it. I didn't do it." And I said to him, "Yes, you didn't do it, but there were appearances that you did it." And I said to him, sometimes it's not even about the evil, it is about the appearance of evil. It's about the appearance, because the world is ruled by perception. People perceive you for something, and even before they know you one-on-one, they've already formed an image of who you are. So I said to him, think about it, what they're accusing you about. Haven't you made some appearances or allowed some appearances that will give them the notion that this thing has actually happened? Meanwhile, nothing happened. And he said, yes. So I said to him, for you as a man, for you as a father, for you as a Christian, it is even more important to guard against the appearance of evil than the evil itself. I said, why? Because you have grown to a level of maturity that there are some things that you can't do. You know that you can't do them. And there are some things that you know that the grace of God covers you to that extent that you trust that you won't, be engaged in such things. But even if that grace is there, have you guarded against the appearance of evil? What will people say? Just the way that people say, what would Jesus do? What will people say when they see you in a particular circle, when they see you in particular places? So for me, those two Bible verses are like guiding posts for me. What song best sums me up? Great is your mercy towards me, your love and kindness towards me. Your tender mercies I see day after day, forever faithful towards me, always providing for me. Great is your mercy towards me, great is your grace. That's the song for me. The advice that I will give to younger generations is that they should never forget who they really are. For me, that helped me, transiting through teenage years and then into adulthood. I never forgot who I was. So all the times when I probably was misbehaving, I never forgot that I'm a child of God, and I never forgot that I had a root in Christ. So wherever I was going to come back to that root. So for the younger generations, you must never forget. Our parents used to say it then when we were going to school, don't forget the son of who you are, don't forget the daughter of whom you are. But we usually take it for granted. The truth is that if you never forget, or if you forget who you really are, one day you won't recognize yourself.